of Surgeons' Lives. I'm your host, John Monson. It's been the dream of many people, I'm sure, to pack up all your belongings and travel the world. But most of us never get around to doing that as life gets in the way and we realize that the plane of least resistance is actually just to stay in our job and continue working. Our guest today, however, is the exception to that rule. Fabio Potenti and his beautiful wife, Kristen, packed it all in, sold the house, bought a catamaran, and are currently, as we speak, sailing around the world. An amazing story for a colorectal surgeon who'd been in practice for 24 years, starting out in his home country in Italy. I'm sure we're going to hear lots of life stories here, some exciting and some thoughts as to how to pursue a dream. So without further ado, let's move forward and speak to Kristen and Fabio. And remember, don't forget that if you like what you're hearing, then press subscribe and press the like button. It does help on the channel. And don't forget to send in the comments section your suggestions for things we should discuss, how we might make things better, and of course, the names of some surgeons, any surgeons you think whose lives are definitely worth hearing about. In the meantime, I'm John Monson, and this is Surgeons' Lives.
How are you, John?
Welcome. I'm good.
It's a long time I see you, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, how can anyone see you? Because you're...
Well, I haven't retired that far away. It's only 2 years.
And I thought it was a good idea to for us to meet you on the podcast before you cross the Pacific, you know?
Yes. Yeah, who knows? I may not make it.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, well, thank you. Thanks, Fabio and Kristen, for joining. You know, this is a podcast I'm creating, putting together a library of conversations with surgeons. It's called Surgeons' Lives, of course, but it's not really talking about careers, etc., as much. There's obviously we talk about some career, but as much as anything, I want to talk to people about other aspects of their life, the other person. You know, there's enough people talking about how wonderful they are in their career and all of this sort of stuff. But so what I normally ask people, and we're interviewing, or I'm interviewing people from around the world. So therefore it's useful. And this is the first double act we're doing. So there's two stories here, obviously. But maybe you'd start by, as I often ask people to do, start by telling us a little bit of the story that starts with the words "I was born in."
So do you want Kristen to go first?
No,
you're
the surgeon.
You choose.
You go first, Fabio.
Okay, so
She's probably more interesting than you.
she definitely is.
No.
I'm a pretty bland surgeon. I was born in Italy, in a small town on the coast, and I grew up doing some sailing. I've always had passion for sailing. I came to the state to train after medical school, brief stint in Wisconsin, and then I went to Rhode Island, Brown University, where I did my surgical training. I stayed on staff there for a couple of years, and then, as you know, I went down to Steve in Florida. I did my colorectal fellowship. I had promised that I was going to go back to Brown, so I did go back, and it was a great move because I got to really consolidate, meet Kristen, and have and find the love of my life, and also we started sailing in Narragansett Bay, which is a great place for sailors, as you know, Newport, and then we did buy a boat at that time. We had a boat in Jamestown, and we did do some sailing there. And then we decided that it was time to go back to Florida, and I was talking to Steve, and so I went back. First, for a while, I was in private practice, but then I started doing cases at Cleveland Clinic, and eventually I rejoined the clinic. I stopped doing surgery at some point. I had a mishap and I hurt myself, and I ended up getting an MBA and doing mostly administration. I still saw patients, but I kind of slowly got away with surgery, and then eventually I became the chief medical officer at the Florida hospital.
So when you were in Brown, were you on staff with Nish Shah at the time?
Yes, yeah. But I mean, no, before Nishat. Sorry, he came after I left. But yes,
Okay.
Yes. So when I left, I was the only colorectal surgeon really at Brown. Victor was my partner, Victor Pericolo, who's not a board certified. He does general surgery, colorectal surgery, but he's a general surgeon. And so we're in practice together, really at the in the group. It was a multi-specialty group.
Yeah.
And then after that, eventually Steve Schechter and Matt Vries joined, and now they have a larger group. And Victor left, and in fact, Victor recently retired, and is now
and Nish left as well. He went to California.
Yes, yeah.
And Kristen, what were you doing in Rhode Island?
When Fabio and I met, I was finishing up university at Johnson & Wales in marketing and merchandising. And when we moved to Florida, I started working in marketing. And then after a few years, I went out and actually started my own photography business. It was lifestyle portraiture of children and families.
Yeah.
And I had that for quite a few years. And then I transitioned back into the advertising world and did that up until we decided to move on a boat and sail around the world.
And you don't sound as though you're from the Amalfi Coast.
I am not. I am from Rhode Island. So I was born in and grew up in Rhode Island.
So now I think you said you were going to be talking to me from somewhere in Panama.
Yes.
So here we are in February 2023. And when did the first thought of this insane plan? When did you first think about it before actually doing anything about it?
It had been brewing for, what do you say, Cree? Maybe a couple of years, 3 years?
Probably. So I would say really it was more like 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years probably. Yeah.
Because it took 2 years to find the boat.
Right.
So I would say it probably, started brewing because we were watching YouTube sailing channels. Which sparked kind of the idea that this
could be done.
This lifestyle, was out there, and there were a lot of people out there living on boats and sailing around the world. So I would say probably 5 years.
5 years total, yeah. And then as you know, as I said earlier, we did have boats in Rhode Island, and then we had boats in Florida. We sailed in Florida as well. So the bug was there. But then, it came a time that, as you near retirement age, and we don't have any children, we don't have, we didn't really have significant debt to worry about, and so we figured
I watched one of your I think maybe your most recent video where Kristen says, I can't remember, forgive me, the name of your dog.
Yoda.
When you said, I don't know if Yoda can swim or not.
But she does. No.
She does. We know that she swims at least with a life jacket.
Yeah, exactly.
We found that one out.
It struck me that, first of all dogs swim, number one. And secondly, that's not really the time to be finding out.
Definitely not the time to be finding out, but breeders of French bulldogs have told me that to be very careful with French bulldogs around water because some of them have trouble swimming because they're so top heavy and also the short snout. So
Yeah.
not the best breed to live on a boat
No,
with.
that's true. So 5 years thinking, mulling, planning, plotting, watching YouTube. But that's different to pulling the trigger,
Yeah.
selling the house, essentially, giving up what is, and your career at that point may not have been what you started out doing. I mean, you were not doing clinical surgery really.
Yeah.
And as so what was it that on the one hand made you, and this is me, I'm using these words, not you, but fall out of love with what you had started. And how did you make that transition to saying, well, to hell with this, let's sell everything and buy a boat?
Well, yeah, it's a very good question. I want to say that really I never fell out of love with my job. I love the clinic. I still love the clinic. Still wake up at night, and Kristen knows it. Wake up at night thinking about my relationship with my team at the clinic. The type of work that I was doing was very exciting. Working with the team, solving problems. And as you know, hospitals are complicated, and the problems that you deal with are complicated problems. And I had a lot of people, smart people around me, that really, in many occasions, made me shine. We had great successes, both in the finances of the hospital, in the risk and risk management of our complications. We had really, as you know, the Cleveland Clinic is a great place to work for. You have a lot of support, a lot of people around you. And Steve, I was still in the Department of Colorectal Surgery, despite being this chief medical officer. So Steve was still my boss in essence, and in one way, and another way, I was his boss, I guess. But no, not really. I never, I still call him Dr. Wexner. I don't think I've ever called him Steve to his face. So I still call him Dr. Wexner, and so I still is my mentor. He's always been my mentor, and as such, I regard him as a great friend. And I had other great friends in the hospital, and so it was hard to leave. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It was not like, I never was like, I'm done with this. I really, and then sometimes, John, I find, and Kristen knows, I tell her all the time, I find myself with my head in the bilges, cleaning up the most disgusting liquids that I've accumulated. And I'm thinking, I'm like, a couple of years ago, I would have strategized on a system to make this better. And now I'm just here with a sponge and a bucket. And so,
it's back to
these thoughts come.
Being in the bilges is a bit more akin to colorectal surgery,
Yeah, I'm in the same line of work, but yeah, kind of.
So as you say, it wasn't easy to leave, and
it was not easy.
So, but the words that I would also wonder about would be brave and scary. Was because it's doctors. It's on one level, it's easy to do what you're doing. I mean, you were in a job, they were paying you well, nothing bad was going to happen. You could have just cruised along and talked about buying the boat and saying, maybe one day, that's a world of a difference to saying, okay, I'm out of here. I've sold the house. I've bought this thing, and we're gone. What was that decision process like?
So I think that as we get closer in age to what we call retirement, you feel that your body and your mind too is not the same, but your body mostly. And the desire to sail the Pacific Ocean, to see the islands, it's timed. It's not like you can say, I'll do it when I'm 80.
Yeah.
And honestly, even now that I'm turning. I'll be 64 in July, if I'm correct, right? I try to forget, but I'll be 64 in July. I can feel that in my bones, in my joints, and if I didn't do it in the next 2-3 years, most likely I wasn't gonna do it. And that was really the impetus. And Chris and I were talking about it, because in the future we can cruise around Bahamas, we can cruise in the BVI. But we're not gonna sail the Indian Ocean. We're not gonna go to Madagascar. We're not gonna go to South Africa. So that was the thing that said we either we do it now or we likely won't do it. And so I was working very close with the person that took my job, which is this guy Scott is a phenomenal guy, and I think I had the great privilege and opportunity to really have him get into my position. And it was a nice transition. It was prepared. When I went, there was nothing rocked, nobody missed me. Everything works just the same. It's probably better than me. I think his mother is dedicated, is better than me at doing the job. So we thought about it. We said we got to do it now, or else we won't do it. Kristen was really excited about doing it, and I gotta say that she is my motor in doing this. She is the one that tells me, let's go do this. She's the one that told me, let's go to shore with the dinghy in this big surf.
That was my, so I don't always have good ideas.
I was like, it doesn't look like a group.
I watched that video, and I have to say I was on your side, Kristen. I mean, I thought, what's the point in not going? I mean, come on,
It didn't look that bad.
Number one. Number two, I thought the little capsizing thing was entirely Fabio's fault. I mean, I think that was pretty obvious.
Well, he was driving. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And we'd already had the sympathy section. Where he was putting on this bandage.
I have. No, really, honestly. I have a huge, now it's better, but I had a huge bursitis on my right elbow. Yeah. I have a slack wrist. I mean, I'm really like an orthopedic nightmare.
But, I have to say, in the overall scheme of things and the grade of, injuries and stuff like that, with the pained face complaining of bursitis is not, it doesn't rank up there. My leg has been amputated, or something. That's not quite.
Oh yeah, I've seen worse. I've seen
worse. So Kristen, at any stage, did you turn around and when these conversations were, at any stage, did you turn around and say, "This is insane. This is crazy," or were you, or did either of you have doubts and go, "Wait a minute, are we nuts here?"
Well, we say that all the time, basically, that we are crazy. But in the beginning, I wasn't so sure. I wasn't initially. Fabio was the one who had the idea and wanted to do it, and I wasn't 100% sure, just because when we had our monohull, I got seasick all the time, and sometimes even when we had the trimaran, I got seasick. So for me, that was a big issue. And so we did an ASA sailing course on a catamaran from Fort Lauderdale over to Bimini and back. And the motion of the catamaran agrees with me much more. So that was kind of quelled, and I didn't really have to, I have to be careful, but it's not something that I'm dealing with all the time. And so then I started to get really excited about it, because I don't know, I just feel like we were so much in a routine that we needed to shake things up a bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes. So that you made a good point earlier. Yeah. You made.
Go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, you made a great comment earlier. You could coast and cruise along in your job, especially towards the end of your career, because you've got pretty good at it. You can probably do most of the things with your eyes closed, and it's easy to kind of settle down and say, yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, let's keep going. But it's a double-edged sword. That really, I think it may seal your retirement in a very kind of like unsettling way, right? You haven't developed any other things to do in your life after work.
Yeah, sure.
Like I know, for example, you're a car enthusiast. You like to race. You like to collect cars. So you have something to look forward. But I've had colleagues that continue to work in their 70s, in their 80s, doing surgery when probably not. I don't know. You're not in the best shape. And I've had one of my partners when I was at Brown in my group. He died at almost 80 years old in the lounge, in the surgeon's lounge.
Yeah.
And that's not, that's not something I want to do. And that's not. And I don't want to be the guy that people look at and they say, well, it's time for him to retire.
Yeah, I mean,
kick him out.
I agree with that, and I mean, I've no doubt in my mind that surgeons tend to be very uni-skilled because of the nature of the work. It's a pressurized, intense job, and back in my day and your day, it wasn't really the done thing to talk about outside of surgery. It was almost a sign of weakness.
Yes,
etc. And I'm sure that's not right. And like you, I've seen several people retire, people that you and I both knew who were lost when they retired. They didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And they and indeed their spouses were defined by their professional life. And it's and we all are somewhere on that scale, and some better than others, etc. But I'm sure that's right. And one of the questions I ask people when I'm doing these chats is two questions. I say, how would you like to be remembered, and how do you think you will be remembered? So, what is your answer to those?
So one thing I know for a fact is that when I go back to the clinic, when I talk to many people at the clinic, they say, we miss you, we love working with you, it's been great. And and I get messages all the time because a lot of our followers on YouTube and on social media are clinic people. And so it's no mystery that I get those messages very often. And so I think that I'm remembered in a positive light. And that's how I would like to be remembered. So I think the two questions are now, I think they remember me the way I would like to be remembered. I don't have any aspiration to being the best in the world. I just want to be an okay person, nice, liked. I don't, and that's, I think I've achieved that in my work environment.
So how long is the initial adventure planned for?
We don't know. It's so now that we're crossing the canal at the end of the month on the 28th. So we'll be on the Pacific side, and then the goal date for the Pacific crossing is March 8th. We will be joined by a couple of three people, a couple from Canada and a friend. They're all friends. Some watch our videos, some we knew from before. So we have three crew with us for the crossing. We'll go to the Marquesa, to French Polynesia, and probably spend the season tooling around, right?
Yeah.
And then what are we gonna do next?
I'm going to steal. Larry Pardee is a famous sailor, cruiser, kind of in that world. And he was well known for saying, as long as it's fun.
Sure.
As long as it's
So I'm
fun.
going to steal his line.
And so if it's fun, after that, we're going to go down to New Zealand and spend typhoon season in New Zealand, which is about 6 months.
Right.
After that, we're going to go back up to French Polynesia or maybe some other islands,
Like
the Western Pacific Islands. And then either Australia for the next typhoon season or up to maybe Thailand, Indonesia, Thailand. Spend another 6 months or so there, maybe do some land travel, leave the boat on land, then see Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, that kind of stuff. And after that, if we still can, go to the Seychelles, Madagascar, and go around to South Africa, leave the boat. So the whole idea, if possible, we would like to go around the world and come out from the other side. If we can, if the boat holds, if I hold, if there's many, so it's hard to plan that long ahead. You know, help permitting, we would love to do that.
Yeah,
that sounds like at least 2 years.
No,
more.
10.
Probably like 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Because we're going to do it slowly.
Slowly, yeah.
Right.
So we may leave the boat. Yeah, we may leave the boat somewhere for a couple of months and go back to Italy for a little bit, or come back to the States for a little bit.
So what do you think about the as you said, if the boat lasts? I mean, so how often does the boat have to come out of the water?
So typically you'll haul out every 2 years just to do a bottom job.
Yeah.
And then every couple, and then it's major refits. 2 years, every 2 years or so, you need to do some refitting. It's a constant struggle. I mean, boats,
Sure.
boat means broken or about to.
Yeah.
So, and so there's always something. We have a list of jobs that it's never ending. That's why we're here in this harbor in Panama now, because we're already doing some jobs in preparation of the Pacific crossing. So stuff breaks, you fix it. The boat is, it's relatively new. It's well built. It's an ocean crossing vessel. It's designed for this.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that she will take us around. That there'll be jobs.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You'll obviously have been asked, and people watching this will ask. So how can you afford to do it? How can you live? How can you live? Because I don't know whether there's a great story from obviously about 100 years ago about Sir Thomas Lipton, who was the founder of the America's Cup. And somebody asked, he was a very wealthy man, obviously, and somebody asked him, was ocean-going sailing expensive? And he said, it's a little like standing in the shower, tearing up 20-pound notes, except that in the shower, you don't get seasick.
That's a great one.
That is a good one.
So yes, it's not cheap. You can make it cheap. Depends how you do it, really. You can go around the world on a shoestring.
Yes.
With a small vessel, with staying at anchor. Our boat is not the most economical boat. It's these boats are expensive. Insurance is expensive. They have a mortgage on the boat that we pay. So we do have some income from investments that we have made in the past. We have been very parsimonious. We bought a house. We sold the house for a small profit.
Yeah.
We do have some money there that works itself for
that'll keep you. You think that'll keep you sailing until either you or the boat dies? One or the other.
We would think so. We would think so. Actually, we need more than that, because I don't know if you can see that Kristen is a couple of years younger than me, and so she will
That was Fabio's main reservation in this whole thing.
Yes.
He's like, I know that we have enough money for me until I die. But what about you? I'm worried that we're not going to have enough money for you until you die. I was like, just don't worry about that right now. Just forget it.
So hopefully
we got.
Exactly.
So we'll see.
We'll see what happens. So we don't have children.
Sure.
So that's
an
expense that we don't
that's an
have.
expense we don't have, and we don't.
They
and, you know, we
are.
don't have any really.
I do know from personal experience they are expensive.
Yes. So that's one thing. We do have. I do have another business with my brother that provides a little income. So we'll be okay. And if we're not,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, I'll go back to work some form, maybe a greeter at Walmart or something like that. But I'll find it.
So what are you? So how long have you been? I was going to say on the road, but how long have you been on the high seas now? Approximately.
High seas, really. Well, so we went to up north to New England. So I wouldn't consider the high seas. Went to Maine. We came back, so it was like.
So we moved on the boat like 2.5 years ago.
That was the work.
But Fabio was still working.
Right.
So we've been kind of cruising since May of 2021. So we're coming up on, I guess, 2 years, really. We did kind of we went after doing our little New England stint, we did go back to Fort Lauderdale and spent about 5 months, I think, in Fort Lauderdale.
To date, what's been the best thing? And can you think of a good thing that you weren't expecting?
From doing this, from sailing?
Yeah.
That's good. I think we have checked the boxes that we were thinking we're going to check. Seen places, seen nature, seen animals, meeting people, interesting people. I think different people from what we meet in our circles as surgeons and professional, healthcare professionals. We met some local people in the San Blas, some of the tribal communities. What happened that we weren't expecting? Positive. I don't know.
Well, for me, I think in everyday life, I was never really in situations that I was kind of afraid, So you don't know how you're going to react when it's at night and you get 40-knot winds and you have to maybe take a third reef, which means turning into the wind, and it's just not fun. So you don't necessarily know how you're going to react. And Fabio can probably say that sometimes I do get a bit anxious, but in those moments, I don't.
Yeah.
So true. I think that when it really matters, when things really get a little bit dicey, I'm much more calm than I would have expected. So that's a positive for me personally.
Yeah. And what's the biggest mistake you made, and what do you miss?
Biggest mistake she made. Marry me, you mean? No.
We'll skip over that one. I mean, that's a given,
What's the biggest mistake you've made?
Yeah, and she's, I mean, evidently, looking at the videos, she's obviously in the market for somebody in better condition,
I tell it all the time.
Stop.
But what was, what was the biggest mistake you made so far?
While sailing. So far, sailing. Yeah, we've done. We have broken a few things. We have I let go of lines that ended up fraying and
Me too,
shredding,
yeah.
and we hit a reef once. We probably unsure what happened, but we did hit a reef. We broke a rudder once.
That was probably the biggest.
That was the biggest mistake.
Yeah, because
Well, those are
we
kind
had-
of like mishaps, etc. But what I was
Yeah.
thinking about more in terms of, in your project, in your life project, if you could turn the clock back maybe, 2 years, as you say, is there something you think, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. Actually, we should have done it this way.
I don't know.
No, you guys are good,
I'm pretty happy with the decisions we made.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I am too.
so we, for not having
Getting our the autopilot.
Oh, yeah.
The secondary autopilot.
yeah, but that no.
But no, yeah.
So yeah, on the boat, we could have, if I could go back, I would have done some technical parts differently.
Yeah.
But again, it's not like a major mistake. I think that one thing is a lot of the choices we made and we make now, they're outside of what you and I probably think about planning, right? Because we are used to a pretty rigid and also very trustworthy environment of people, where you say, we're going to do this, and this is our Gantt chart, this happened, and this happened. This is not the way it works in sailing life.
Yeah.
And so we want to go somewhere, but we can't. The weather is not right. We want to go somewhere, but the day before we go, something breaks. The parts are not available, so we have to wait until. So nothing really works the way you think it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Therefore, we don't really have a plan. That's why we talk about goal dates.
Yeah.
To crossing, because God knows if you're actually gonna
Right.
cross on a day.
Yeah, sure.
We went. We went to this place called Shelter Bay Marina to have the boat measured for the canal. The day we got there, the World Ark showed up. So, which is like hundreds of boats that cross around the world.
That was such poor planning.
But we didn't know that.
We didn't know.
The agent that was gonna come and measure us didn't really tell us.
It kind of didn't. I don't think he put it together.
So he told us, guys, we're not gonna be able to measure you. So, but we sailed from this place to come here
130 miles.
130 miles to get measured. So, and it really, one thing we have learned is to adapt and say that's life, and we say it all the time. This is not a life of comfort. And some people, when they tell us,
and we're on a very comfortable boat.
And we're in a comfortable boat. This is not a life of comfort. This is not a life of champagne sailing and martinis in the afternoon. This is not it. When people tell me,
there's I don't know whether you've ever heard it or not, but there's a long-standing, I think it's been in place for about 50 years on the BBC radio, called Desert Island Discs. And the concept is they ask people, celebrities, etc. They're stuck on a desert island. Tell us the 10 pieces of music that you would bring with you. But they always ask them. There's a couple of things that they're given automatically. One is they're given the complete works of Shakespeare. They're on the island for them. The Bible.
Okay.
And they're asked if they're allowed one luxury and one book. So what is the luxury that you miss? And that I'm assuming it's different.
Amazon.
Huh?
Yeah. Whole Foods.
Amazon.
Amazon.
Like,
yes.
I would actually say, and it's not even a necessarily a luxury, but I ran out of my face soap and I couldn't find the same one.
Yeah.
And my skin went crazy.
Yeah.
So something simple like that. So when we went back to Florida,
Yeah.
I just got like all the
Yeah.
skincare stuff. So that I guess is a
Yeah,
luxury.
yeah. It's interesting how, you know, I love to cook, and
Yeah.
so the premises of our show, of our YouTube show, is to see the world, experience the culture through their food.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that Europe, Italy, France, and England, you know, there are places where food has a culture. There are other places like Asia, Thailand, Japan, China. The food is a culture. United States is developing a pretty strong food culture. Many parts of the world, like here in Panama, the food culture is not that developed yet. In the Caribbean as well, it's more like, you know, rice and beans, rice and plantains, rice and chicken, rice and shrimp, and so and the food. The stuff, what I wanted to do has really changed a little bit. I would love to go and find some good produce, but I can't find it. So I miss that. That's one thing that I miss. Good produce. And I cook. We make good stuff, but we don't have the ingredients that we will like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you
So it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on. Yeah.
So it's interesting because it's not necessarily luxuries, but it's like basic kind of creature comforts that we were used to.
Yeah.
That we can't find.
Yeah, we are not very luxury oriented people.
No.
Even when I was in Florida, we really never. We don't.
I mean, good wine.
Good wine.
Let's
good
say
wine.
that.
Yes, luxury. We got
good
a
wine.
Good bottle of wine. Thank you, Kristen.
Oh my God, it's funny.
Yes.
Here they drink what they call Chateau Carton, which is boxed wine. It's so bad. I mean, my taste level has gone down a notch because I'm like, it's not that horrible.
It's not that horrible. But then we went back to Florida.
And then it's all over.
Some good wine. Like, oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, Chateau Carton.
You know, living in such close confines, where you can't sort of say, I'm going for a walk, you know. It's different. So Kristen, what have you learned about Fabio that you really don't like?
Oh!
Wow. Stop to the heart.
Honestly, no, there's nothing about Fabio that I don't like.
She's so kind.
Isn't she?
She's so nice. She's super nice, man. I'm the luckiest man. So we have been, it's interesting. We have been in a very close relationship for years now. Even in Florida, we were kind of always the two of us. We like to say two peas in a pod, and that's, you know, we're always together. So there wasn't really much that we have discovered by living in a boat. I don't think so. For me, that I think I know her. She knows me the way we are. We never attended functions separately. We never go to the gym separately. We never did anything, right? There was, except maybe you would go to yoga once in a while by yourself, but it wasn't like, you know, it's not like Kristen has her Thursday afternoon cocktails with her friends, or I don't play golf, I don't go smoke cigars, I don't do any of this stuff. So
yeah. So you've undertaken a fairly extreme version of you know, the hobby, the other life, etc. What would be your guidance to young surgeons starting on their life? I mean, what would you say to them if they said, you know, what you've done is great, but you know, how does it work for me? What should I do?
So I think as a young surgeon, and things have changed, as you know, John, things have changed immensely since you and I did our residencies, and the work hours have changed, the commitment to certain things have changed, and for the better. I'm not knocking it down. I think that it's good that there is a better opportunity for people to develop interest outside of surgery. I think that surgeons need to be more rounded compared to the way you and I were taught to be, where we're like, just the guys in charge and that's the end of it. I think that they should leverage this opportunity to look inside and see what they want to do. And it doesn't have to be sailing around the world. It doesn't have to be going to Mount Everest, but see what they really enjoy. It could be, for example, I started, I have more time now, a little more time, and I started writing. I just discovered that I like to write. And so I think that's one thing that surgeons can do, because we are forced to write. If we write papers, we write lectures, we write presentations. Cultivate that. That's a great skill to have. I think that there are other things that you do in the family. For example, I like cooking, and I think cooking is a great thing to do for your family, for your people. It gives great satisfaction when you give somebody that when they eat it and they enjoy and they laugh. It's actually a tangible connection with people. Is not it's something that you can really do that connects you in a different when you say viscerally, that's really literally, because you put it inside your body. Other thing that you can that I think that we should all develop, and I've struggled with, and I'm learning now because of your YouTube channel, is talking to people. Talking to people about the way you feel, the way you live, talking about your experiences. Talking in front of the camera now is so much more important than it used to be for us. But presentations, when you present to people, get away from the PowerPoint, learn what you got to say and say it without reading slides, all that kind of stuff. I think they'll prepare you for and learn humor. That's another thing that is very important. Humor is very important. Learn how to be funny in a self-deprecating way. Don't put yourself on a pedestal. Be humble. Learn how let people laugh with you about stuff. Don't be you don't want to be ridiculous, but you want to be enjoyable to others. And you can do so. Choose something in your other than surgical life that will make people around you happy. However you want to do it, if it's through feeding them, through writing stories, through telling jokes, because all that during your surgical career will make you a better surgeon. Because in the OR, people will like being with you, right? And at home, you cook for your family. Your family will love your food, and if you teach, you'll be a better teacher. You'll not be like a dry guy that reads slides. So I think those are the things and these I have learned after now, because what we do with the YouTube, and so I think that those are my advice to surgeons.
So looking forward, do you think are we gonna see the Fabio and Kristen TV series, or are you gonna write a book about this, or maybe both, or what? Well,
I don't know. It's right. I think TV is a long shot. I don't think because TV is a long shot.
You can write a book. Though,
we wish, we hope. Yeah, I'm. Well, I wish. I guess I'm starting to, but it's not. But I would love to write a book. I would love to write a book. I would like to publish
something
fiction.
Tell your story.
Tell a story. Yeah, I write little stories on social media, just shorts, and people like them. And our YouTube channel is growing slowly, and then we try to tell story with our videos. And Kristen is doing it. I'm just, as you can see, I'm just a good-looking guy. That's all I do.
No, you're just I get it. You're just the eye candy that's there.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, well, listen, it's been fantastic talking to you both. It's an unusual. We don't, I've spoken to people who collect cars or fly planes or do stuff like that. Got a big fisher, but nobody is doing this. So it's a fascinating story, and I think everybody is. There's a growing number of people, of course, who are jumping on the channel. And when we post these, I'll post your links to the channel as well, so that people can jump on it. And I'm sure it's going to be. I mean, to say that you will never forget it is, obviously an understatement, because it's already been that for you. But we look forward to hearing more. And, maybe when you, I was going to say maybe when you come home, but I don't know where home is for you now. But maybe when you're linking again, we can touch base with you again and find out how the Maldives were.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We would love to. And will be available. Thanks to Elon Musk, now we have Starlink on the boat.
Yes.
So we should have internet. We hope
internet of sorts.
Better than.
And
Yes.
now all you need is Jeff Bezos being able to send a drone out to the boat
Exactly.
to bring the moisturizer for Kristen.
Yes.
Exactly.
And some chard.
Yes.
And some decent red wine. Well, thank you so much, folks.
So,
really wonderful.
Thank you.
And, best of luck and stay safe.
Yes.
And we will see you again.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.